My name's Ralph. I'm a product manager at Intuit, and we're here to talk about appointment-based businesses and running your entire business with QuickBooks for your appointment-based business. So appointment-based businesses, these are businesses like J&D Skincare of San Diego, and J&D Skincare is owned and operated by Jen and Donna in collaboration with Stephen. Stephen's here with us today, and Stephen and Jen is as well, and Stephen's going to be offering some perspective along the way. And really, this was the inspiration for what we're going to see today. So there's a real J&D Skincare out there doing great business in the San Diego area, and then there's the fictitious business that we're going to be talking about today, which we'll have a little bit of fun with. Okay, so I really want to leave you with a few takeaways during this session. And I should note, I almost forgot. My colleague, Jam Master DJ Duncan at the controls here. Duncan's going to be leading us through all of the product demo, tapping and typing away. You see the legal thing. Everything that we're going to show you is live in production. It's stuff that you can use right now today. Okay? So a little bit about the takeaways. Number one, and you heard this if you heard it this morning, QuickBooks is not just about QuickBooks. And QuickBooks is really about the whole ecosystem that is connected there. So it's not just about running your business on QuickBooks only. It's all, the power comes from all the stuff that you can bring into it. And that stuff includes apps, but it also includes people, like your accountant. The other thing is, and we'll show you how to get more time in your day, more money in your pocket, and more insights out of QuickBooks to help fuel your success. So those are the key things we're going to cover today. All right. So let me ask you, we're here to talk about appointment-based businesses. How many of you are either an owner of a appointment-based business, you're an accountant for an appointment-based business, or otherwise connected to an appointment-based business? Pretty much everyone. Great. Fantastic. So you know that the lifeblood of this type of business is the schedule, right? You can kind of get a feel for how you're doing just by looking at your schedule. And so the schedule actually begins not with QuickBooks, right? It begins with QuickBooks. It begins with the client. And so I'm going to play the role of a client, perhaps not the typical client. I'm going to play the role of Brent, who is a manly man, a construction guy, and but he's someone who just appreciates, and more accurately, his wife appreciates a nice smooth back, right? You get it. So I'm looking for, where can I get a nice smooth back? The guys at the construction site said, hey, DNR Skincare, not affiliated with J&D Skincare, is a great place, nice and discreet, They'll take care of you. So I go onto their site, and sure enough, I can actually schedule an appointment right from their website, right from my mobile phone, in fact. So I'll go ahead, and I've picked a time that works for me. I can see all those times. Behind the scenes, what's happening is that as the business owner, I can control like what times are available, what times aren't, a whole bunch of other controls. Stephen can talk to that in a second. So I'll go ahead and grab an appointment. I'll go ahead and schedule this appointment, and pretty much instantly, I, Brent, will get an email confirming the appointment, and in the meantime, back at DNR Skincare, Ralph, me, now, sorry, I'm losing this character for now, he'll be back, goes ahead and sees that appointment come through, right? So I see that appointment come through in FullSlate. Now, FullSlate is one of many apps that connect with QuickBooks. This is focused on appointment scheduling. I can see my whole schedule here. I can see the appointment that came through that Brent just scheduled. It's on Friday at 3. I see that there. And even better, when Brent typed in his appointment, all that information flowed into FullSlate, but it also flowed all the way into QuickBooks as well. So when I'm in QuickBooks, it created a customer for me already, so I'm ready to go. So I didn't even have to lift a finger or do anything, right? And speaking of that, if I go back to FullSlate, there's a number of other things that it'll do for me as well to allow me to keep running my business and work on my behalf without me lifting a finger. For example, I can set up the automated messages. So it's automatically going to send Brent an email notification, a little bit before the appointment, whatever time I specify, letting him know, hey, your appointment's ready. So, Stephen, I know that you use this, you use FullSlate specifically, actually, and anything you want to add in terms of how you use it or the things you like about it?
I guess you can narrow down what appointments it offers up, et cetera, and there's also the ability to make a lot of notes with regarding the appointment, see prior appointments. It has all that background scheduling information about the client. So it can send out special offers directly from FullSlate. So it's got a lot of other background information.
Great, and I noticed there's also, I think that I've seen, and I assume you use as well, like, and I maybe mentioned it, where you have a lot of that control where you can say, well, hey, here's an appointment, but it requires 30 minutes of setup or 30 minutes of cleanup or something like that, so you can box around that so you don't overlap, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so fast forward a little bit now. It's Friday. Brent has come in. I'm Brent. I'm not wearing my construction hat anymore because I'm off the job, but I've just had the best back waxing I've ever had. It's been awesome, right? A nice smooth back. I hardly felt a thing. It was fantastic. And so now you're wondering, like, well, okay, well, it's time. I've delivered great service, but now it's time to get paid, right? And so here's a way where kind of a key point here is that there's ways that you can use QuickBooks to do two things at once, effectively. To do taking the payment and accounting for the payment all in one motion. So you save a ton of time and energy. So I'll flip into the QuickBooks mobile app, and I'll go ahead and accept that payment, right there. So from my activity feed, I can just go and tap in on to create a sales receipt. I'll go ahead and select the customer as Brent. I'll go ahead and select the location that I'm at, which is downtown in this case, and the class, which I'll say is appointments. Now this will kind of come into play later, but I'm adding some information about this, not just the customer, but what the nature of it as well. I'll go ahead and add an item, back waxing. That's $60 I've ever spent. Nice weekend coming up. That's great. And I'll go ahead and credit, because Brent, he likes to be discreet, but he also likes his airline miles too. So I'm going to hit credit. And then going right from the mobile app, I can just, Brent can swipe his card, take the payment, and really I'm done. So what's happening here is that within doing that payment within the sales receipt, I'm taking that payment, the payment's going through all the crazy places it goes through the payment network. We take care of that for you. And it's the funds are ending up in my bank account, right? When they come into on my bank account and I have my bank hooked up to QuickBooks, then that deposit comes in, it sees the sales receipt, they match, it's done. So not only did you just take your payment, you already did your reconciliation here as well. All right, so yes, you may, of course. We're going to have a Q&A session at the end, but fire away. Okay, all right. So great. Now, a tip in this area is around setting up your items and taxes. So you want that checkout experience to be as frictionless as possible. And so a key to that is making sure you invest a little time up front to get your items set up correctly, get your tax rates set up correctly, so that they're all just a tap away when you're doing that checkout process. Stephen, anything you want to add here? I know that you do some of these types of payments, but not exactly like we showed you.
Yeah, I think the key is to have all the products there and get everything lined up that you're going to sell, so it really can be streamlined on the checkout.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. I know you also had something on your wish list too.
On the wish list, if you noticed, they didn't yet offer up the opportunity for Brett to leave a tip. And so we're doing a little workaround on that. So while that's that's on the wish list that'll be coming soon.
Yes, well, I can't, per the legal disclaimer, I cannot promise any times, but as proof that I'm a product guy and not just a marketing guy, thank you for that feedback.
Yeah.
And we are we're working on that. So, and I also know that in J&D skincare, there's another source of income. I mean, your primary source of income is delivering the services, and there's some products as well. But you have another source of income as well, right?
Yes, besides Jenny doing the services, then we have a suite with extra rooms, and those rooms are rented out.
Okay, all right. Well, that is awesome, because as it happens, my fake business, right, the D&R skincare, we also have that kind of income. We also rent out some rooms. But crap, here I am over at the DMV. You know, I went over, I had some time in between appointments. I needed to go to the DMV. Now I'm at the DMV. Oh well, I guess I'll do that later. Not at all. I can still be productive. I can still get a ton of stuff done by using those downtime moments, or what used to be downtime moments, and go ahead and get things done. So for example, I have a new tenant in my Midtown office named, what did we name him? Kent Yip. And it's November 3rd today, and I should be invoicing him. So why wait? So I'll go ahead and fire up, still from my mobile app, I'll go ahead and tap in, I'll create a new invoice, I'll go ahead and select Kent Yip as the customer. I'll come back up here just for convenience. I'll go ahead and select the Midtown store so I know that the rent is associated with Midtown. In addition, I'm going to pick an item here, which is rent, which we've actually set up as an item for rent at Midtown. Because you might have different price points for your different rent. And go ahead and save that. So now that I've saved that, it's there, great. Now what can I do with it? Well, I can go ahead and send it to Kent right now. So I'll go ahead and email it to him. It'll show me a nice preview. I see I can change the subject line. I can change the body of it if I want. You can see I'm using the Intuit payment service, so the payment is enabled now, so on this invoice. And you can also see down below, you can scroll up a little bit, beautiful customized invoice, the same one that you can create online, the same one you can send online, you can also send from your mobile as well. Now, my normal services, I like to get paid however people want to pay me, right? So credit, check, cash, whatever it is, I'll take. For my renters, I actually prefer that they pay me through bank transfer. And it's just purely to save on some of the processing fees. And so even here, it's really easy just to turn off the credit card. I'm only going to want Kent to pay me via bank transfer. And I'll go ahead and disable credit card, go ahead and send the email. So that's going off to Kent. Meanwhile, Kent, over in the Midtown store, gets the email. He's between clients. He's thinking, I'm going to use some of my dead time as well. He sees the invoice come through, nice, beautiful email, just like you set up. He taps into View Invoice, and he has the option now here to online, he's looking at it, to go ahead and pay now, or he can sign in, and he's going to sign in. Now, you might be saying, well, hold it, this is a new tenant. How is he signing in? What is he signing into? He hasn't created an account. Well, Kent also has a daycare service, and his daycare service uses QuickBooks. And they send him e-invoices. So when he received his e-invoice from his daycare service, he paid it online. And when he paid it online, he saved his credentials so he could make it easy for him to pay. And now you're benefiting from that. Now, because Kent saved his credentials with another small business that sent him an e-invoice, now he has his credentials online, making it super easy for you to pay. So now he's signed in, and he just has like 2 taps, and he pays it. So he's going to go ahead and send the payment. That's going off. And that money is now headed to your bank. You don't have to do anything anymore about it. The accounting is done there as well. That payment's going to hit your bank. It's going to match up to that invoice, and you're done. So speaking of banking, let me toggle over to banking. Still at the DMV, mind you. Looking up, okay, I'm like 20 numbers away, whatever it is. And in the banking on mobile, now I can knock some of these things out. I can see that I have my Chase business card hooked up. It's pulling the transactions in. I can see I have 5 new transactions that are sitting there waiting for me. Let me go ahead and tap in there. And now I can see that QuickBooks is kind of doing some of the work for me already. You can see the items in green are already matched. They're either matched against something that exists already in QuickBooks. Like, for example, I paid my credit card bill, and that top one, the automatic thank you, I assume, is matching against the transaction that it's seeing on the credit card statement. So it's, it's intelligent. Okay, those must be the same. The high tech is my favorite office supply store. And I've set up a rule that says, hey, anything you see from high tech is going to be under office expenses. Simple rule. The other two, and I can go ahead and accept those into QuickBooks, bring them in to, to QuickBooks with a simple just swipe to the right. These other two, Lee's Discount Liquors and Whole Foods, it actually got the categorization right. Yeah, those are right. Those are meals and entertainment. I want that. But I actually want to categorize it. I want to provide a little bit more information. So I just tap into each one of those. And I'll go ahead and select that it's for the Midtown location because it was for an office party that I had for the Midtown location. So I put that expense, specifically tagged it around the Midtown. And these are expenses that aren't in QuickBooks yet. They're coming through in my credit card statement, and boom, I'll just go ahead and accept them as well. Now the expense is in QuickBooks. So I'm done, all clear, everything's good. I am on a roll, right? So who dares me now while I'm 5 people away from my turn at the DMV to take on payroll? I take that, I'll take that dare. Okay, so I just toggle over to payroll and I can say, well, it's Tuesday today. I've got payday on Friday. I've got my direct deposit deadline on Wednesday. Why wait? Let me just knock it out right now. So within the payday, within the payroll app, I can go into payday. I can enter some hours, put in 40 for Johnny, worked a standard week. Amy had some overtime. Go in and add a little bit of extra overtime, for Amy. Go ahead and review this. It's doing all the calculations, calculating all the withholding, all the stuff that it should do. You don't have to think about a thing there. And then it's giving me the summary there for me to approve. And I can see right here, direct deposit, it's going to go to, to these people, paper checks for these people. I'll go ahead and approve that, and boom, they're off. The direct deposit's on its way. It's going to show up in that employee's bank account on Friday. All I need to do is remember to go ahead and print the paper checks. Oh, and there was a tax payment. Oh, by the way, if I had tax payments or form filings I could also do that here too, as well. So the key point here with all this, not that you're going to do all of these things on your mobile phone all the time, although it is pretty cool that you can, is that you can work differently. So you can use some of those moments that you have, when you're sitting at the DMV or at Starbucks or something like that, to actually be productive and keep and do things really kind of at the fact, not after the fact. And one of the, I guess, kind of the key things that accountants tend to love is that, especially when it comes to the banking, is that you're not letting things pile up, right? So it's not this, every month, if you're lucky, you're having someone go through and say, here's all the stuff, and let me categorize, oh, what was that expense for? You're doing things on a continuous basis. It makes it great. Stephen, anything you want to add on that front?
I think the key is, and you're pointing it out well, that really as accountants, we used to always think of doing the accounting after the fact, but really the financial statements and most of the accounting is a byproduct of doing transactions.
Right.
And it's already there.
Yeah, so if all your transactions are continuously up there and up to date, then everything is accurate in the moment.
And then the accounting can be reviewing and making meaning out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. So now we've gotten a bunch of stuff in QuickBooks in a good way. And this is now a great time where you can start getting stuff out, right? You can get those insights out of QuickBooks. And there is no better way to get insights out of QuickBooks than to work with an accounting professional, to be able to collaborate with an accounting professional with your business. And you can do that right within QuickBooks, of course. So super easy to do. Hit the main company menu and get to the manage users. That's where you can invite your accountant. Super easy. Some details. Boom, it's off there. And now with your accountant invited, with your accountant now collaborating with you inside of QuickBooks, you can do things not just via some clunky email. Hey, what about that transaction, or what about that? You can have a conversation specifically about specific things in context. So you see a message, the little message icon up there. John, my accountant, has sent a message to me, and I can go ahead and click into that. It takes me right to the transaction he's talking about. I can scroll down a little bit, and I can see the message that he said. He said, hey, nice payment that you entered in, but I don't see the deposit anywhere. And sure enough, I goofed. I entered the deposit or the payment in there, but I never and it was a paper check, and I never deposited the paper check. So thankfully, John had my back. He saw this. He messaged it. I know exactly what to do. Fantastic. That's a very tactical thing, but an additional value really comes into getting those insights out through, let's say, reports. So I head over to the reports area, and I can see that John, my accountant, has already gone ahead and set up a bunch of reports for me. So so he can go in and create a bunch of reports on my behalf. Like we'll kind of just click into to one of the ones on the profit and loss by location. I can see all sorts of breakdown. However he wants to slice and dice, and he can do that for me, and I don't have to do that at all. And I know that Stephen, you set up a bunch of reports and stuff, for Jen and Donna.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can tell a little bit about what you've set up, how you set that up, and how you use it.
Yeah, I've worked on a number of them, primarily making sure that there's comparison in many cases. So monthly financial statements, et cetera. There's that. I've also worked on a report to summarize gift certificates that are sold, so that they aren't just recognized as revenue when sold, that they're thrown into a liability account, and then when they're cashed in, it goes there. So I've been able to create an account for that also.
Great. All right. Great. So I'm going to wrap up, pretty quickly. There's one area that I forgot to show, earlier that I want to, touch on, and I mentioned that we started off everything talking about the FullSlate app and scheduling, and there's a bunch of other apps like that. All those apps are easy to find. They're in the apps tab there. You can load that up. There's now 1,400 different apps that are there. You can do a quick search. You can find a whole host of great solutions, and each one a little bit of a different flavor, so you can find the one that fits directly for you. All these integrate directly with QuickBooks, and that way, just like you saw in that example where you're only entering data once, through the app, and in that case, not at all, right? It was the customer who entered the data that created the customer record in QuickBooks. So just to recap a little bit, one of the key points and things that we showed with that FullSlate app is that QuickBooks is not only QuickBooks. To get the power out of QuickBooks, comes from using QuickBooks with a bunch of other stuff, right? So you're using whether it's an app or bringing the people together. So you're collaborating with your accountant, you're bringing the other apps that you use to run your business, and it's all working and QuickBooks is bringing that together. The other thing we showed here was how to put more time in your day and more money in your pocket, and that was kind of like three key ways really there. The first one was doing things at the fact, not after the fact. So we saw that with a sales receipt, where you can, when you do the sales receipt and you take the payment in the sales receipt, then you're done. Then you've done your accounting and the reconciliation already happens, you've taken your payment. It's not this archaic world of like, I'm taking payments and then somewhere else there, I'm gonna get my payment statement and my bank statement, I'm gonna try to match those together. The other one is connections. So we saw that with the simple example of the Chase business card, where your expenses, you're running all your expenses on your credit card. You're just going about your business doing that normally. Electronically, they're coming into QuickBooks. QuickBooks is doing a bunch of work for you in terms of matching it, either intelligently by our rules behind the scenes or some explicit rules that you set up on your own, and you're easily just accepting those within QuickBooks, so you don't have to manually enter them or as little as possible. And then the third one was really more about using those moments, so using your time differently. So creating using those anytime, anywhere capabilities of QuickBooks to be able to take advantage of that time at the DMV, or send the invoice instead of waiting until Friday or at night or something like that. Send the invoice when you're in line for Starbucks, and then run your payroll when you're waiting for your latte. And all of that then comes together by getting all of the data in there, collaborating with your accountant so you can get the insights out to fuel your success. So with that, we're going to make sure that everyone has a good seat for Oprah and has plenty of time for Q&A. Yes, sir. And there's some microphones coming around, so if you can wait, and otherwise I will repeat the question.
I assume you interface with all the major banks. What about smaller regional banks?
Oh, geez, what is our number of banks? We cover a large number in the thousands of banks. I don't think we cover all. I don't think we can claim to cover all of the regional banks, but a surprising number. It's not just like here are the handful of the 10 largest banks. It's the numbers I think in the 4 digits. The question was, do you have your own card reader? And we do. We have the card reader here. That is a normal swipe reader. It works with the QuickBooks mobile app and it works with the GoPayment app and simultaneously. And actually you can use, when you have a QuickBooks account, you can use both those. And when you have a QuickBooks account with QuickBooks Payments, you can use either one of those apps. The rate, it varies. So the swipe transaction that you saw right here, though, is cheaper than Square. So I think it's like 2.7.
Does Slate
Full
sync
Slate?
over to the Google Calendar?
Oh yeah, I forget to mention that. That's another key aspect is it'll sync with your other calendars. So if you put something on your personal calendar, it'll appear in FullSlate so that it's not an available appointment, and vice versa, all your appointments will be over in your personal calendar.
Okay. And then the last question, can we use this if we're using on a Mac? I know Macs are kind of a problem with Intuit right now. But would this program work with Clover, like B of A's Merchant Service is a new Clover system? And how could that integrate? I mean, we're just new to the Clover thing.
Yeah.
But, I don't want to have 2 different sets of processes going on if we can do it through one.
Right. So instead of Clover, I would recommend Rebel. But given that you've already chosen Clover, we don't have an integration right now with Clover that I know of. So, you are a little bit in that situation of I'm taking my payments through one system and now I need to get them over into QuickBooks. Now you can certainly get them over from, both of them are hitting the same bank account, I would assume. So that's that's a crude integration, but I'm not aware that we have an integration with Clover or B of A Merchant Services yet.
So does it also sync with Outlook or just Gmail for FullSlate?
I believe it does a number of calendars. Certainly it's Google Calendar, I know for sure, but that we had one issue where we had to reconnect and we went to another calendar setting. So I haven't tried it with Outlook. But.
Okay. And then another question I had, you mentioned with the tips that might be coming out in the future, you can select how much tip to add to the back wax. If you did Square, were you doing Intuit payments with your example?
Yeah, we were using Intuit payments. Now you can talk about a little bit of the workaround that you use right now to accomplish that. Yeah,
because with Intuit payments, you also have GoPayment that Ralph mentioned. And so what we're doing is, Jen's now doing the receipt on a computer to do all the items and everything, and then just unchecking the process payment, she comes up with a total and then just processes the payment through GoPayment.
Okay.
So we're using the same system, same collection. It's just that we can't use the tablet for actually creating the receipt.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in our GoPayment app, we do have that tip capability. So when you're on when you're handing the phone for the customer to sign, they see a tip option and they can tap and some really easy option, give you 10, 20 or a specified amount. Really nice tip option there. We just haven't put that part of the experience into the QuickBooks Mobile part of the experience that we showed.
Okay.
That's the gap there.
Then the other question was, for spas, they have different employees and they like to track, which employee did the service. How do you integrate that into the setup?
Which employee
does the service?
How do you do that right now?
We don't have multiple tracking. It's in FullSlate. That could be, we didn't discuss thoroughly, we could use classes. That could be a use for classes, could be the employee. I think you used it for locations in the example.
Yeah, but in FullSlate, you're able to track those. I mean, like all the appointments are scheduled by person. In terms of pulling that all in and seeing that, so what you're talking about, I imagine, is I want to see a report based on, for this month, what was the service revenue? Let's just say for. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So you could accomplish that. I think one way of accomplishing that would be to use classes.
Mm-hmm.
Does
sorry,
the
we'll
new
get to that. Yes, go ahead.
chip cards supported by that current reader?
Interesting. The current reader, no. So that is in development right now. And the question was around the chip readers. And maybe you've seen them. Maybe you have a card where you slip it in. So we're going to be supporting that in the future. A key thing, though, right now is that the liability shift that occurred on October 1st, we're covering. So until you have a period of time when even if you're accepting a credit card and there's a fraudulent credit card, you're not going to be on the hook for that. Intuit will be on the hook for that.
Okay, and then how are you tracking your cash workflow?
The cash?
Yeah, when it's paid by cash, because a lot of these people don't want to.
Oh, sure.
Have cash.
Yeah. Well, all of these transactions, you can see the option in there is that you can accept cash, and so you can still record the transaction, as cash and accept the cash. So that's,
Cash or check.
yeah, cash or check. You can. So that was just one of the options. I think there were three options there. You just tap cash and take it, put it in your pocket, whatever you want to do.
And when we're doing that, we then just go through the process of do a deposit, accept the payment, then make a deposit, and go through that process.
Does it allow you to change the transactions like after the fact with limitations? I think is the answer. Is it maybe right? Did you have a specific? Can you change? Yeah. Oh yeah. So the changes the changes are absolutely tracked, and I think that they would show up in the audit log in QuickBooks. Is there a question over here? I know that you've been waiting patiently.
First off, this is great. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Life changer, for sure. Other than FullSlate, was there any other apps that you used in this demo other than all of the QuickBooks payments, QuickBooks, all the QuickBooks stuff? Was there any additional apps we should be aware of that you used?
We did not. We, in our preparation, we considered using a couple other. One other one that we considered using. There are a couple other ones, but that you might think about for customer relationship management. One of my favorites that I'm familiar with is Method CRM, great integration with QuickBooks, and then also from an advanced reporting, Fathom is another one to look at. There's lots of others in that category, so I don't want to exclude any other. There's lots of other great apps out there as well, but those are the ones that I'm familiar with. Just a note as well. I mean, we definitely showed the accepting the payment through the QuickBooks payments. We also do have integrations that are pretty robust with PayPal and with Square. So they won't accomplish everything that we showed here in terms of, what I showed here was being able to have a sales receipt that's tied to a specific customer, that's tied to a specific location, that's tied to a specific class, and all of that's captured there and then paired with that payment. When you do something, let's just say with a Square integration or a PayPal, you lose some of that data, like the specific customer or the specific location doesn't always come through or doesn't come through. A lot of the transactions, they will come through very seamlessly, and they'll show up within QuickBooks. So the data integration is pretty good. It's kind of like almost the best of both
What
worlds.
about Stripe?
Stripe, we don't have a direct integration with yet, but that's definitely one of the developers that we've seen. Do you use Stripe actually?
I do.
Okay, yeah. So that's interesting. I mean, like Stripe tends to be a little bit more on the developer side, trying to serve more of the developer community. That's kind of a little bit more where their bent is, as opposed to Square or PayPal serving directly to small businesses.
My business is online, so.
Okay, all right,
Sense,
yeah.
I
So you're
guess.
like like an e-commerce type business, and Stripe's powering your payments on the back end. Yeah. I don't know. Like we have some integrations with Shopify and BigCommerce, and what I don't know the answer to is when you're using, let's say, Shopify and BigCommerce with Stripe, what the integration to QuickBooks looks like. Because you might actually, if you're using either one of those, if your e-commerce app or service is integrated with QuickBooks, you might get a lot of what you need through that part of the integration.
Thank you.
Oh, in the back.
Hi. Yeah, thank you. This is really helpful. I use a lot of these products, and they've really helped my company so far, especially Payroll and QuickBooks Online Payments. What I'm having trouble with is the bank reconciliation, how it's matching incorrectly. It's tying, like, I'm like, oh, this client's spending a lot of money. It's just matching incorrectly. So I think I need to finally maybe hire a QuickBooks accountant specialist. And I was wondering if there is a list or a place we could go to find people who specialize in QuickBooks. Because I don't know if I just search accountants,
I think
that
Nancy,
you
the person
recommend.
standing
or-
right next to you, might be able to answer the question better than I can. But Nancy, do you want to actually field that question?
So you can go to the Find a ProAdvisor website, and then you can you'll see a list of ProAdvisors, and you can search by zip code and find one in your area. Yes, they do have ratings.
And I'm sure there are about 150 or many people here that would love to meet you and help you today too as well. And actually, out of just all seriousness, I mean, if you want to, there's people to connect with here. If you have a specific technical question, we have the tech bar over near the beer garden where our support team is hanging out, and you can just walk up and just say, hey, here's the problem I'm having. Can you show me, how? And you might be able to get that solved right now. They, no, they're not yet. No, they're too close to the beer garden. I think that they might be right now, but they won't be later.
If you were going to use this with a cash register, do you have to use another app to integrate it, or is that something that you would have to pay for through QuickBooks?
So you can use like a point of sale solution like Clover, right? Like the one that works best with QuickBooks is the QuickBooks branded one that we partner with Revel on. So it's QuickBooks point of sale powered by Revel, and that's a nice iPad-based point of sale solution that has all the bells and whistles for a point of sale type retail like business with nice integration into QuickBooks Online.
And the FullSlate, are you able to use that without an accounting? And if so, does it show any payments?
In FullSlate, you absolutely can use it without any QuickBooks or without anything else, and it does offer payment capability.
I think so.
And we didn't play around with it too much. We haven't really explored that, but it, I think that it does.
Mm-hmm.
No? It actually integrates with Stripe. Oh, there you go. So FullSlate integrates with Stripe. Okay. Question here? How are we doing on time? Everyone? 3 minutes. Oh man, I'm keeping it.
Okay, I have
Okay. 3
I
minutes.
have clients using Stripe,
You have clients using Stripe.
and it does come into QBO through a third-party app, and you dump it into a holding checking account, basically, and then do your deposits off of there, like undeposited funds.
Okay. Which third-party app is it that
I
mediates
have
that?
to check with the clients, but
Okay.
I think one of them is SAS, one SAAS.
Okay.
Those guys are here today.
Okay, so there's a third-party app that can help mediate the connection between Stripe and QuickBooks. Okay, great. All right, well, thank you very much. Let's get to go see Oprah.